Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Unleashed here at Grace Harris, author and transformational coach. My name is Grace Harris. I am your host, and today I have a beautiful, beautiful guest streaming all the way from Colombia. We're going to be talking about the power of using your passion to overcome adversity. So, this woman had gone through the depths of darkness, from homelessness to becoming the CEO of one of the most sought after international art magazines in the industry. But today we're going to tackle really what keeps you afloat during the darkest of your times. And when you know that superpower as early as you can, chances are you change the trajectory of your life earlier and you create a legacy earlier. And then you cause an intergenerational transformation earlier, which is really the idea of ascension, which is what I'm really passionate about. Women Unleashed series is about creating intergenerational transformation. And in simple words, it's really just about change. As you all have noticed, for the last 2 years, we've had the pandemic, and now we have the war between Russia and Ukraine, and so many things that are so fast tracked that it leaves us breathless, overwhelmed. We don't understand. And technology allows us to access one another so quickly that we can't really keep up. Our spirits are sometimes, hard pressed to keep up. So in my way, in many different ways with the women that I'm talking about, we want to help our ascension into the cosmic consciousness by just getting to inspire and empower one another. So without further ado, I want to introduce my guest for today, Miss Viviana Puello. Viv, you're here with me. How are you?
Yes, great, Grace. I'm so honored and grateful for this moment and for allowing the universe, allowing this space and time to create this incredible exchange of energy and bring awareness and raise our consciousness. I love that. Love. That's what I live for. Yeah.
Thank you, and I'm so excited for our conversation. I had a whisper today in my spirit where it said, be surprised and be some spontaneous. So we spent like a very brief moment together, just setting the technology and the intention. But I can't wait to hear your story. I know very, very briefly that in your brief, when we did the scheduling, you were once homeless. So you were originally born in Colombia, and but
Yeah.
you really pretty much grew up in New York. And
That,
there's a brief mention about that there were some belief systems that had been ingrained in you, which led you to homelessness. But now you are one of the most inspiring women in the art industry. So I guess the first thing that I want to explore is tell me about that life of belief systems that had led you to that dire strait of homelessness.
yes. So, we are born perfect. We are born perfect creatures, perfect creations. But then we go through this journey of childhood, of being conditioned by society, by the situations, the countries, the cultures, and everything else. So I did go through a very challenging childhood where I was abandoned by my mother and then pretty much by my father. My grandparents took care of me, but there was a brief moment in my life where my I was living with my father and stepmother, and she was verbally abusive. So she would say things like, "You're stupid, you're good for nothing," things that you cannot tell a child. And if there's anybody watching out there that has kids, don't ever tell that to your children because kids believe everything we tell them. And it might be that the person says it because they didn't mean it, but the kid believes that. So I did. I believe I was stupid. I believe I couldn't do anything. I would not be accomplished. I actually believe that I was one of those people. And that's, I thought that people who were born, some people were smart, some people were stupid, and I was just the stupid ones. And it took a while. It took me moving from that household to the household with my grandparents, where I had support and I had love, and I was blessed to have that. And still, those are things that linger in your subconscious. Whenever somebody tells us at that young age, that lingers in your subconscious. And even though everybody was telling me, yes, you can do it, etc., I still had a lot of self-doubt, and did a lot of self-sabotage, a lot when I was younger. So I had that thought of, this is not going to happen for me. Life is just always going to be, just settle down for whatever, because I didn't value myself. I
Mm,
didn't think of myself to as a perfect creation. I didn't think of myself as somebody that came here equipped with everything I needed. I thought I lacked something. There's something that needs to be fixed in me. There's something that needs to be adjusted. How can I do it? Because I don't know. But I also had a positive part that was my faith. So I grew up in a Catholic school, and they told me how to pray early in life, and that helped me, because in those difficult moments, that faith was the one that kept me going. And even though I didn't know how to, it was like spirit whispering to me and telling me, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." And that helped me, and I went through, I don't know if you want to go that deep yet, but I went through homelessness because of that belief system.
wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. We have a very similar story. But, like you said, we are pure when we are born. We're like blank canvases, like anything is
Yep.
possible, infinite
Yep.
potential. But those little words from the people that are supposed to be our carers, no matter how briefly the time that we spent with them, if the impact of those words were intense at the moment, they become seedlings of our belief system. That no
Hmm.
matter how briefly our time with them may have been and we change our environment, that seedling can grow and can become a ceiling to our potential. So,
Yep.
even though you had spirit guiding you, the ceiling, the belief system had been ingrained. And so there was this fight between the light and the dark. And
Right.
so it led you to homelessness. What was this experience like? How long did this go on for you? And what was the journey of the ups and downs like? And eventually take us through the one catalyst that really changed your perspective as to this is enough.
Right. Well, I went through, of course, because of those difficult situations in family life. I married someone who also was abusive. We tend to gravitate towards that which we know, and that's what I did, and ended up on the streets because I had two children. My younger one back then was two. I had my baby. My girl was a baby, and I lost my job. I lost my job because I had, that was before my daughter was born. I was pregnant, etc. So I had lost my job. I had been working. I was an immigrant in the US, the beginning of my journey there also. So I had to take any jobs that came, and I was getting paid the bare minimum, until one day the landlord took the stuff out of the apartment and put a um, note on the door and said, don't come back anymore. And actually took all my belongings, which were not a lot of them, put them on trash bags and put them out. The neighbors, people who passed by took them. So I literally lost everything. I had a babysitter. I had someone that was taking care of my kids when I was working, and I went to her, and she said, well, you can leave the kids here. Thank goodness. You can leave the kids here, but I don't have room for you because my daughter is married. She doesn't want, I was very young. and she doesn't want any young women in the house. So it was okay. Honestly, I was just grateful that my kids had a roof over their heads. And there was a bus stop across the street, so I would go across the street in the nights and sleep there. And it lasted for about 3 weeks. It didn't last long, I say, and it sounds like it's not a lot. Was it was cold. It was not knowing every day, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. It was loneliness of how can I, who's going to extend the hand? What am I going to do? How do I get an apartment? How do I get a place for my kids and I to live? In spirit, I have that faith, and I found a job, and then I found a part-time. In a matter of weeks, I was able to get a job. People helped me. At the end of the road, about 2 weeks down the line, I found someone who extended their hand, and she said, you can stay here until you can get an apartment. And I did. And then we found a small place, and it was a tiny little attic in a house. And I was renting a room in the attic. And there was somebody next door that used to make a lot of noises with a girlfriend. We had to endure all that, trying to sleep, right? And trying to survive there. And then I, started saving and working more, and we could move to a bigger place. And it was always that journey. It was a slow process,
Mm.
but there was always that certainty that I knew there was going to be a breakthrough. I knew that something incredible was prepared. I just had that security, that belief in my heart. Even though there was a lot of self-doubt, I did have that faith in God, in the universe, that this was going to happen. I'm gonna come out of this one. Because just to clarify, when I was in Colombia, I grew up with a very, I'm not gonna say wealthy, but middle class family where I didn't need anything. They gave me everything I needed. I was the princess, and they would do everything for me. So graduating from college and leaving everything and going into the US and finding myself that I had to go and clean a bathroom in a hospital because that's what I could do at that moment. And right after you clean it, somebody, poops on the floor and you have to clean it all over again, and all that. It was a life transforming experience, and it was needed in my life journey. I probably planned it that way before I even entered this realm, because I needed that experience. And I grew so much from it. I grew a lot from it. It was transformational.
Mm.
And there were many breakthroughs. I cannot say there was only one. There were many moments that were catalysts for the change and the transformation in my life that have taken me here, and they're still happening. The first one I can say was that one. I always say the biggest teacher that I ever had was that bus bench, because when I was there, I remember closing my eyes and dreaming about a beautiful life. After the whole process of what I'm going to do, what's going to happen, please help me, there would be some calmness that would enter my heart, and I would start dreaming about this future life, this beautiful life, and I'm going to live with my kids, and the house is going to be like that. I was designing that life. And now when people talk about the power of attraction and power of intention, I realize I created, yeah, I did manifest this life. And that was one of them. That was an incredible teacher, but there have been other teachers, right? Like art has been instrumental in my life. Art has been instrumental. My biggest change in my journey happened because of art. I always wanted to paint and write, so I did. It was a hobby. It was a side thing for me. I was a single mom. I couldn't afford. I was cleaning. I was doing. I entered into administration later, which I graduated from in Colombia. So By the time my kids were about 12, 13, we moved to a location. I had not been painting for about 5 years before that. And I had this dream. And that was a dream that the universe sent me to kick me out of where I was and put me right on the path that I needed to be. And I had this dream about being outside of Earth, and I saw the Earth. It was so beautiful that when I got up, I wanted to remember it, and I didn't know how to. So the only reasonable way of doing it was painting it. So I did. I painted this dream of mine, and I hanged it on the wall, and my neighbor saw it, and the neighbor invited me and said, "You know what? There's an art event in the plaza. Why don't you just go?" And I did. I went to the park. I went to the art event. I met an artist who invited me to the art district in Saratoga Springs back then. And as soon as I got there, I felt at home.
Wow.
I rented a spot and I rented a studio. Now, the studio that I rented back then, to clarify, was a room that was divided with masking tape into four pieces, four sections. So I rented a section of the room. It was quite something. And from that place, I started painting again. And my career evolved from there. I started painting. I then became a curator. I started traveling. I created my first art organization, Vivid Arts Network, back then, to help other artists like me exhibit their works. They couldn't do it. They didn't have the time. I would do it and volunteer. And after a while, I started charging. I decided, I think you're gonna have to start paying me for these services. So I did, and then started traveling. And it just grew. The company started growing. I ended up in Italy, one of those trips. And when I went to Italy, my life changed for good. My life changed completely. My first trip to Italy made me fall in love with art even more and gave me this desire to do more. So I was always brainstorming, what can I do? And I volunteered to work in art exhibition the year after. And the year after, when I went, I met my partner, Alan Grimandi, and my husband. And we started working. We were working for that exhibition, but then we started work. I told him about this project I wanted to do. We started working together. And about 2 years later, we created Art to International, and our life just changed. I strongly believe Art to International and all the organizations that I work and that I created, because everything that I've created are platforms. I've always created platforms for the artists to exhibit their work, for the artists to showcase their work in a magazine. I have a TV show for the artists to show their art and share their message, for writers to share their message, to share their books. It's always been a platform. So I strongly believe that it was totally, totally meant to be in this life journey. It was the experience that I had to do, and I'm a facilitator for creators to share the message. So I believe in art as a vehicle for global consciousness transformation. I strongly believe in that. So that's what I do. I'm passionate about, and that has been pretty much my journey in a nutshell.
Wow. It's a beautiful journey, and like you alluded to it before, you said it was a slow journey, but it was, I think the pace is where the beauty lies. And you
Yes,
mentioned, there wasn't one catalyst, there were a few transformational catalytic moment. And what I really admire about you, Viv, and I'm inspired by, is that the sense of faith that you talk about, for me, how it translates personally is that that sense of faith was your ability to stay open to the transformational moments, like the bus bench,
yes,
that transformational moments, the cleaning the hospital bathroom, that transformational moment of humility, like from being a princess to someone
yes,
who cleans up after people's poop. And what is the lesson in this? What can I learn from this? What's the message underneath all these um,
yes.
yucky moments, right? And even the being the receptive of, it was almost how you described the bus bench when you closed your eyes and you had this dream of a beautiful life that is now manifested after thinking about how am I going to do this, who's going to help me.
Right.
It's almost a depiction of a very meditative, a deeply, deeply, deeply meditative moment. And I'm passionate about illustrating to many people about what meditation can look like, because it's a difficult thing to fathom for a lot of people who have a lot of chaos and noise in their head, and they don't know where to get started to try and address what they're going through. And so when you suggest the word meditate, they're like, no, because it's just
Yes.
it makes you a lot more confused. But just as an illustration, like what Viv had gone through, you know, she's just become homeless. Her children are being taken care by other people, but she is in a bus bench for 3 weeks with not knowing what's going to happen. And in spite of that situation, she found a way where she's connected to the spirit, and it's given her the visuals of what life's going to be. So it's really just, it could be anywhere or anything. It could be, I like to do particularly moving meditation. You know, just getting into the zone while I'm doing yoga or walking or folding clothes from the laundry,
Yep.
and getting into that zone, and allowing the receiving of the messages of the visuals. And I really, really love that. And so thank you. Um, the art, that was a beautiful story about your coming back and the remembering to the art when you had the dream of being outside the earth. It's
Yes.
interesting you say this. I did a guided visualization meditation for a group. I think it was last week, I can't remember. And the visualization is really about coming out of yourself and really looking at yourself as a dot in the world, and you're this cosmic consciousness observing
Mhm.
your three-dimensional little self, and you see the beauty of everything, you know. And I feel, so I guess the question that I have for you, because I love how um, it's so representative of your divine calling, that dream, because now you say, I am a platform creator. So that's really
Yes.
your calling, isn't it? You are a platform creator for
Yes.
artists. That dream to
Definitely.
me is very representative of what you do now, because yes, you did go back to the remembering of the artist that you are, but you didn't just stay into your own art, into your own world, but you went out of perspective and allowed, where are the other artists that can access their
Yes.
higher calling. So that dream. So I guess the question that I have for you, Viv, is you know, for the people out there who really have this old gift that they have left behind, whether that's playing the piano or you know, calisthenics or dancing or painting or what, singing, whatever that is. And it's so daunting, it's so intimidating to even go back to it for some kind of reason or other, fear, guilt, shame, limiting beliefs. What if they don't have the dream that you had that pushed them to
Mhm.
remember? You know, what can they do to try and be brave to go back to who they are?
I think more than anything is to think about your life. Your life as this is a journey that is going to have an ending, right? Because then you're going to have to move on to something else. You came here to experience this journey. So you don't want to rob yourself from that experience because our passions are actually the guides, the words, the songs that Spirit sings to communicate to you that which you need to share.
Mm.
So it's not just playing the piano or playing the guitar or writing a book. It's not just the action of it, it's what you're doing while you're creating this, while you are playing, while you are. And something that I share with the artist is the artist doesn't transform the world just by creating the painting. There's my painting and this is going to impact somebody. Yes, it will. It will probably brighten somebody's life if they see the colors of these artists who created this artwork. But what's going to create more impact is the energy that you are emanating when you are in your creative process. That energy of coming out, that's when you come out. That's when you come out of yourself. And you're just pushing this amazing healing transformational energy out there when you're creating. So it's a healing process. It heals out, but it also heals within. And that's what art does. It did for me. It does for everybody. It's like math. I always say it's math. It's a formula. It's not going to fail. So if you try it, you'll see. It's a matter of getting into it and do it the first time. Like if you haven't painted for a while, or if you haven't played for a while, just do it once. It's like meditation, right?
Mm.
Get into it and you'll see. Because a lot of people, and speaking of meditation, think, okay, no, I have to, I don't know, block my mind. I cannot block I am a creator.
Yeah.
I have 1,000 things in my mind. I have to either walk on nature and practice mindfulness and speak to the trees and or the ocean, and go through that process. But then the good thing comes, right? For me, meditation is two journeys. One is the journey within, when I am experiencing the now, everything around me. And then the other one is incredible because it's the journey where spirit speaks to me. The message comes to me. The genius idea comes to me. It's like delivery, special delivery, starts coming, right? That's the best. Once you experience that, then you want more. And
Mm.
it's the same. It's the same process with art, because art, when you're creating, it's a form of meditation. You're the creator. You become your creator, but you're not just creating the artwork. I'm not just painting. I'm really creating. I'm creating. I'm manifesting while I'm doing it.
Mm.
It's fascinating. I mean, I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's beautifully, 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 beautifully received for me. And thank you for that. For that illustration of really where do we begin. And I guess the answer really, it's never really stopped. Because for what I'm hearing from you, Viv, is that when we don't allow the creative process to come out, which we are made of from
Yeah,
birth, is that we stop life. And so when the creative is stuck in here, we're just living a life that's descending and eventually
yeah,
just dying. It's not growing. And and I'm so with you about when you begin to go through the process of your gifts, of your arts. It's not about the outcome. It's not about, oh, is this painting gonna look like this, or what's going to be, if you're sculpting, it's gonna have the exact angle of the it's about
yeah,
the energy that goes through it. And
exactly.
you as a platform creator, I see now that you are creating a collective energy of creative life so that it can boom out to the world and really attract that energy of let's be creative together.
Exactly.
Because like for me, my art is writing and speaking and connecting. I met this person, we just had this business meeting was back in December, and he's a man, and you know how men are sometimes very uh, logical with their words. And he said
Yes.
something to me like, um, when you speak to people, it turns you on. And I'm like, that's a way to put it. Yeah, I know, right? And I said, well, that's the way to put it. It's true, but that's how he saw it, right? It's like a dye. You turn Grace on by connecting her to people that can have deep and meaningful conversations with her. And I was speaking to my friends the other day, is that I said to them, the Women Unleashed series, what it does to me is it activates me. And I can't wait to get it started in the morning and keep going through the day after the conversation. Because it's just so many ways that we can activate creativity. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about the details and the ins and outs of how we can work with you, how what your work looks like at the moment, and one specific question to that is that the business decisions that you have made using your faith all through the years.
Yeah. So I'm about to release my book. I mentioned it to you, and it's You Are the Masterpiece, an artist's journey from homelessness to triumph. It took many years to write.
Congratulations!
All the
Oh, that's
experience. Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you. So the book is about that because we have been taught in the past, or there's this myth that you don't involve business with the heart, or you have to be a shark in business to do. I was not a shark. I was not even a businesswoman when I started my business. I don't consider myself that either. And I've been in business with this company for 12 years. We have expanded to about 2 million readers with the magazine. We have 180 countries represented with the magazine. And it hasn't been because of savvy business decisions. It has been because every decision that we take, and I speak for myself as the visionary, the person with the vision and the leader, every decision has been taken in a partnership with spirit. Every decision, even those that I didn't want to take, even those that I had no idea what I was doing. And it was always that idea. And that's why I speak about meditation. When I mention meditation about genius ideas, it has worked for me. I had no idea. And I would just ask and meditate and wait, and the right person, the right moment, the right situation will show up. And I can tell you, we have many, many examples. I'll give you one of them. When we created the magazine, for example, I wanted to launch the magazine. And I thought, okay, let's see, what can we afford, right? We don't have investors. We just started. What can we afford? So I went to see the foyer of a location, which is the foyer is, for those who don't understand, it's like the outside part. When you enter,
Mm,
the small,
sure.
sala that before going in the big salon. I just wanted the foyer or something where I could fit about 30 people. I went to see this location, but I had such passion that I had this passion for this. I really believed in that, in this idea. So I went there and I asked, the person to show me around. They said there's a theater upstairs, but I cannot show it to you because right now they have a convention. Oh, really? Well, so what do they have now? Well, there's arts and culture. So the ministries of all these countries are here. And I thought, oh, I want to be there. And
Oh
he
my
said, well, you know what? These are events that their agenda, it's like booked a year before. And I'm like, you know what? But you never know. Maybe you can speak. I just push, 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 guys. You have to do that. And I push. And somehow, because synchronicities, right? They said, yes, you can speak. All righty. So they gave me 10 minutes. This was a miracle. This was a miracle. I had no idea what I was going to speak about. I knew I wanted to present a magazine, but I wasn't ready. I had my computer with me. So they told me, wait there, you're going to speak in about 20 to 30 minutes. They took me inside. They sat me in the front row with the speakers and the ministers. And I was there with my laptop and I started creating my presentation right in there. They asked me before that, do you have a presentation? Are you ready? Yes, of course I am. I didn't. I had no presentation. So I sat there, put my presentation together, and they called me. This was in Italy. I didn't speak Italian back then. And I went in there, they gave me an interpreter and I presented the magazine. They loved it. They loved it. There were 500 people in that theater. And I made I think about 20 good connections with some ministries, some entities. The magazine had launched in December. This happened in about February. with about 1,500 readers. By June of that year, we had 500,000 already. So these are things and synchronicities, and I don't know how to call it. Like, if you believe in miracles, I have a lot of examples like that. And that's because I was connected. I was open and ready to receive. And when we're ready to receive, we see things, we see it, our eyes are open. If we're not ready, opportunities are passing by and we don't recognize them. So that happened. That's one of the big, one of the big breaks in our magazines. A lot of situations like that throughout the years and even in the present time. Even
Wow.
in the present time, we still go through those situations where we're like, wow, thank you, thank you. I wasn't expecting such big. I was waiting for, I don't know, I was waiting for 50 people, and then you gave me 500. Here we go. What's next? What can I do? And how can I serve now? Because you gave me this. I want to serve with this. I really want to make sure this is not just about business. This is about life. And
Mm,
how many lives can I change and impact with this that you've given me? Right? It's not like it's mine. It's pretty much it's ours.
mm,
And that is also has been a success story for a magazine, is that because it's ours, and I believe that truly, and we've created this incredible family of artists. So the artists helped us a lot to market and share the works and share the magazine in their countries. We have traveled about 53 cities, meeting people, sharing the magazine, sharing their stories. And it's been that one after the other. So if you think that, you don't have experience, I don't know about business, I'm not ready, just do it. Do it and trust. Do it and trust and believe. It goes beyond who we are.
mm.
There's this global there's this global consciousness, and then there's a higher field of consciousness and knowledge that if you connect to, it just comes.
Yeah, yeah.
It just comes to you. You make decisions better than somebody who was there maybe 20 years in business.
Mm,
And they're like, oh, what gave you that idea? The connection. That's it. The connection. It's better than the teacher. If you're not ready, don't worry. All
mm,
you need is the intention, the desire, the passion, and the desire to, pull your sleeves and work, because of course work.
yeah. Wow. That is a phenomenal story, Viv. Like
Yeah.
it's beautiful. You have been always been the visionary right from that dream of looking out from outside the earth. That was your message. You are a visionary, and I think what I'm hearing from you is that when you have the passion and you're connected to the passion, the rest is literally none of your business. I mean,
Yeah.
the business
Yeah.
is none of your business, so to in a metaphorical way. As long as you have the passion, you listen to that and then get your sleeves rolling up and just follow the breadcrumbs to your passion. And that's really what you've
Absolutely.
said as an example. Amazing. This has been so inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank
Where
you.
can we find, and we will put these links in the comments below, but I want to ask you, Viv, about your magazine. Where can we access that, and how can we get hold of your book, which is released
Okay.
tomorrow?
So you can find everything pretty much in my website, which is vivianapuello.com. But tomorrow the book is going to be free, so you can download it for free. The book comes with so many lessons, really. I recommend it because we created a package also of resources, free resources. So there's meditations, affirmations, there's a whole package for whoever reads it can also have that support. And that is youarethemasterpiece.com. You are the masterpiece. You
You are the
are the masterpiece.
masterpiece.com. So
Yeah.
tomorrow it's available for free download with lots and lots of resources that can help you break through, and not to mention the beautiful stories in it. You are the masterpiece.com. Viv, this has been a most beautiful, inspiring, phenomenal conversation. I really thank you for tuning in with me all the way from Colombia. I thank you everyone for watching us today, and we will see you again soon for another phenomenal episode of Women Unleashed. Bye, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Bye.